What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gent. In this video, we're going to talk about a play that has made some people a ton of money. Now, I made money on this, but I have made nowhere near the amount of money that most people have. Obviously, it's a lesson for me to learn. Obviously got the first part right, which was over investing more than I thought I would at the start. But we're going to talk about all of that and sort of the details and how you can make sure that in the future you get part of something like this too, because it's never great to sort of hear about missing out on some incredible projects and some wealth creation opportunities. So that being said, let's get into the video. Just remember, nothing I say is financial advice. I'm just a guy on YouTube. So CryptoValleys is one of the latest GameFi games, I guess, for better lack of word, on the Blast L2 network. If you're interested after watching this video and you want to play the game or you want to check it out, I put the link below, and I've used not my own referral code, but the referral code of somebody else that I know. So check it out. If you want to use their code, feel free to do so. One of the things that's very interesting about this game is I used to play a lot of DeFi Kingdoms. So DeFi Kingdoms was a sort of very similar, it even looked very similar, right? It was a farming sort of game where you amassed a bunch of tokens, resources in a bid to sort of, build up your empire, for better lack of word. So when I heard and when I saw early days, people sort of talking about it, and remember, things on crypto Twitter are very polarizing. Sometimes you won't hear anything. Sometimes you'll hear a ton. Most of the times when you're hearing a ton, the opportunity is already gone. And most of the time when you're hearing nothing, it's because it's still kind of being kept hush-hush and secret. So this is why it's so important to make sure you're following the right people or making sure that you sort of know the right people, right? And, one of the things here that I'll show you is just take a look at this chart. This chart is absurd. So after about, what was it, like half a day maybe? Yeah, about half a day of trading sideways, it then just took off completely, right? And I'm going to talk to you guys about what this chart is. I don't know why it looks so bad on here. Let me just see if I can make this a little better for you guys. So let's just take a look at that this way. So I'm going to make this a little better for you guys. So you can see this and you just see how much it's kind of appreciated and sort of how it's traded. So this is the yield token. This is the in-game currency for CryptoValleys. Now, one of the things I'll say is, before we even get into it, right? How do you find out about things like this, right? Because most people will go, well, I never hear about this stuff until it's too late, right? I think most of you watching would agree, like, hey, if you heard about this, you probably would have thought about putting some money in, but you didn't hear about it. And there's really two reasons for that. The first reason is you guys are kept busy with a ton of useless, nonsensical stuff. I keep saying this in every video. In fact, I've been so vocal about this. I'm glad to see that many of you are challenging other content creators, because I'm starting to see people come around and going, oh, maybe we shouldn't stake everything, or, oh, maybe we shouldn't do everything, right? As a business executive, my job, especially for my teams, right, is to make sure that they cut out the garbage, cut out the nonsense, and they're focusing on the few activities that drive the highest impact. And that's why it's so easy for me to look at crypto in the space and go, guys, you don't have 24 hours. And even at work, you have 8 to 10 hours maybe, right? You don't have a full day to do this. If you only have 2 hours per day, maybe even 2 hours a week, what are the activities that you should be doing? And what I find is there's a consistent discrepancy between content creators who they don't care if you do well. They don't. Let's just be honest. Content creators only want to make content. They want to make videos. They want to monetize your eyeballs. And they're like, how do I keep getting people to watch videos? Or how do I get more views? Oh, I'll make more videos. This is why you'll see me rarely make few videos. And when I do, I try to make them high impact as possible. Because honestly, it makes no difference to me. And that's why I'm okay making videos on topics that I know won't get views, because that's not what drives me and that's not my goal. My goal obviously is to build a community and build up my subscriber base, but I'm not going to do it at the sort of at the consequence of sort of wasting your guys' time. One of the things I want you guys to see here is if I was like every other content creators, I know what topics get the most views. I'm not an idiot. I can take a look here and see exactly which content exactly gets the most views, and I could literally just make 3 or 4 videos on them a day, get 20,000, 30,000 views across the board, right? And then instead of making videos that aren't popular or not making videos at all, I would keep this going up. But I could care less about that. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me about the number of views as long as the number of people I've impacted, right? And I always tell you guys, and I sort of practice what I preach is what I mean. So I tell you guys to do stuff, and you guys can see in the wallets that I've shared with you, it's exactly what I do. So about a month ago, I had put a notice in our private group. So this is the Web3, private Web3 Secret Society. And this was the testnet, and I had a few invite codes, right? So I had some invite codes for my own wallets as well, and because I wanted to sort of testnet farm this, but I gave the very clear instructions on exactly what they had to do, right? Just a few actions, and then my rationale as to why doing it, right? GameFi games tend to take off in a massive way. Sort of what I saw with DeFi Kingdoms was getting in early was very lucrative, and it lasted about at least 3 months of excessive price action where people turned $50 to $100 into like $500,000, right? Obviously, if they got out at the right time, right? And for myself, who got into DeFi Kingdoms very late, I made a bunch of money, but I didn't make anywhere close to the capital they did. That being said, you can see here, I even said, hey, this is still a low priority. Please focus on ZK Sync and Layer 0 farming. And obviously, it's a testnet activity, and I stand by that. So when CryptoValleys then sort of announced, it's not even the right article, but basically they announced their LGE. So this is it, March 11th. We're launching yield through a public LGE, right? Massive opportunity. I remember how Joule was so great. I've seen these LGEs do very well. And the first thing you got to do before you invest in anything, my recommendation to everyone, remember, not financial advice, get an understanding of sort of the performance metrics. So how many people are interested, exactly what's been going on, because we have some data on their testnet, understand what the LGE or liquidity generation event looks like, what chain, how much money, what token type, because sometimes if it is very popular, you won't have time to start to move money when things go up. And the initial price was sitting at 15 cents, putting them at a preliminary market cap of 900K. This stable 900K market cap was probably, out of everything else, the biggest reason I wanted to get in on this project. You just don't see protocols for less than like 5-10 million, right? Like especially at launch. So 900K, less than $1 million, was an incredible opportunity. And as I saw that, I'm like, well, this is a no-brainer. Let me put in like $800 or whatever into it. And then, what I would do is I said, okay, I am going to take a look at what's going on and then make an assessment after. But preliminary market cap being very low is number one. I mean, I'm sure you've seen a ton of shit tokens, that are worth, a ton of money now that started off less than $1 million, less than $1 million, went to like 20 million or something like that, right? So very big. And this is an actual game, it has a sort of ton of things behind it. Understanding the yield was very important. Understanding the mechanistic way that the token also works is good. Now, in fact, this ended up being my downfall because I actually read the documents, which I still think you should do, but I have been through a cycle already. So I come in very differently than most. I come into a protocol asking myself, okay, I need to know when to exit, because if I exit too late, I lose my profits. If I exit too soon, I don't make money. So for me, I started looking at this and going, well, if people are able to create yield, right? So there's the public release of yield through the liquidity generation event, but then there's seed packs. So you buy seeds, you farm them, you're able to sort of get yield, whether it's locked or unlocked. There's a schedule for that. And not to mention, I also knew that they were going to do an airdrop, right? So I earned a bunch of airdrop tokens across a bunch of wallets. Why would I want to be diluted by that too? And they didn't provide a date for that. So it was always like, well, this can get announced at any time. That being said, one thing I will mention, I want to mention this now, if I haven't already. I don't blame anyone for not knowing about CryptoValleys. Your number one thing, whether you are, by yourself or sort of with your friends, is find a group of like-minded people who are trying to do the same things that you are. So if you have 5 friends who are in crypto, who are serious about it, like not 5 friends who you always tell them everything, you want to be talking to people who are also sharing information back with you, because you can't be everywhere. You don't want to be alone. If you are basically sharing it only one way, then what ends up happening is you will just end up only hearing about the stuff you already know, and it won't give you any value by collaborating with others. Of course, it's nice to provide that information, and this is sort of what I do with a bunch of my friends as well. But also, I think, building that community is very important. So if you don't have one, this is really what our private group does as well. One thing I want you guys to know is in the last cycle, I actually had a public group. So I had a public Discord. You can watch my videos from 3 years ago. And in that period of time, we used to make a ton of money as well, but it got overtaken by a bunch of scammers always coming in. Like if you don't have a gate to it, you had a bunch of bad people constantly coming in, and it just became a hassle. So I found a way to sort of create a gate that wasn't too bad for people, but also made sure that the people who came in were very serious, and they were like, the community we've built is pretty good. So if you are interested in finding about opportunities like this and others, and you don't have the time to do the research, this is a kind of group that will make sure that you're prioritizing the right things and that you have the right guidance. And that is really, if you ask, I'm sure that people who are either watching this video live, who are in the group, or maybe in the comments later, they can attest to exactly what I'm speaking about, and they can attest to some of the wins they've gotten, not just in airdrops, but in plays like this, and as well in all sort of the coaching, guidance, and support. So that being said, what I did was I wrote up exactly sort of what I wanted the team to do. And basically, here is the opportunity with CryptoValleys. So we had a discussion, and then I did a write-up for sort of everyone to see it outside of specific channels within the Discord. Gave a ton of information, said, here's my goal. We want to sell it post LGE. I usually sell 50% after the first few hours of trading, as they tend to trade sideways and spike. And then I sell the rest off during the launch phase. And I also mentioned their character mint, which is, it got delayed, but basically it's to mint a farmer, which will also increase the amount of yield. So this will be a very expensive asset, even though it's free. So obviously, if you're able to win that, kudos and congratulations. So the mint happened, it went live, and there were some errors. So what will happen is, as with everything, right? When you go to an NFT mint, for some reason now the protocol doesn't work, right? You got a ton of traffic. And they were selling, as you can see here, 2.5 million tokens. So I was on one wallet where I had 0.2 ETH, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep trying. And eventually I got it when there was about half left. And then I was like, wait a second. I see the demand like really take off. I only planned to put 0.2 ETH in, right? If we go back to this, I was only going to put 0.2 Ethereum in. So that's all I had on that wallet, plus a bit for gas. So then what I did was I went to my next wallet and said, okay, what do I have here? Great. I have like 0.59. Let me get it to 0.58. Do the math on that. Perfect. Oh my God, there's still a bit left. It's trickling down. Let me go to another wallet. So I did it on a third wallet, and I ended up with like 0.85-ish, 0.84 Ethereum into this protocol. And what happened was, when they released it, I was actually busy at work and I wasn't able to get out at 40 cents, which was the initial sort of peak. So it went from the 15 cents we know about all the way down to, 15 cents to 40-ish cents. And the way to do that, right, and I mentioned this in another video, is you have to go in and you have to get the actual contract address of the token, which, you can find on here, right? You just hit the copy button. So it's like right here on the left, right here. So it's enter AO. You take it into the DEX. So the DEX in this case is Thruster. Let me just switch networks to Blast. And then what you do is you just go select token, and then you add it here, and it adds yield. and then you can make the trade. So the trade was happening. Obviously, slippage matters. So you want to make sure you increase slippage by clicking this button for settings. This is, by the way, a very good word of advice. Some people never do this. And by not preparing your stuff early on, right? If you don't put your slippage up, right? What slippage does, sorry, let me just bring this down. What slippage does is it means if the price of the tokens changes by a certain amount between the time you sort of go to submit your transaction and it resolves, the transaction fails. So you want to increase your slippage. Otherwise, as people are buying, selling really fast, you're literally not going to be able to sell because it's going to keep dropping. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying to make it 100%, but just, make it maybe 5% or 10%, just so, you are aware and you're okay with that, because sometimes these things really sell off, which is what we saw over here, right? So we saw that happen very early on, went up to like 45 and came back down, which was a 3x right away in the first few minutes. Okay. So that happened. Now, what I did obviously was after I claimed, I made an announcement yesterday, right? Like I sold out like different wallets at different times. I ended up 0.62 Ethereum, which was not like a double, but like it was close to it, right? And like 0.62 Ethereum, as I cascaded out, was like, it was good money, right? It was like $2,400 basically. So if you ask yourself, hey, you get plus 2,400 on a play, fantastic. But if you keep in mind that I put in like 0.8384 ETH, I should have been up 16 Ethereum if I played this, and obviously I timed exact, top, right? Which no one's gonna do, right? That part is very impossible. Now, after I made this post, the yield token went all the way up to $3, right? So like if you see this over here, we zoom out, right? So the token traded sideways for a long time, and then it went up to like $3 yesterday, right? So there is obviously never going to be the right exact fine tuning here, right? So this is one of the things that you really got to focus on. Now, I see people in the comments talking about getting rugged on certain tokens. This is why I avoid garbage, and I always invest in quality projects. CryptoValleys is a quality project. People love just putting meme coins out there, putting don't and stop and whatever. And what happens is their friends are already in, right? So what I will say to you guys is, whenever you're buying a coin and you're making money, somebody lost money. Money is not coming out of thin air. So who's losing it? And usually it's people who bought in after the first group, or people who are getting rugged on tokens, right? So there's just so many things that can go wrong with your money that I would rather find projects like this that are like very easy to, make a ton of money on and get into that. And this is where the comfort comes from, because with a meme coin, you never know, right? Like 1 minute literally can go to zero because they don't have anything and they can just be like, "Go, we're here for fun," right? Anyone can make a token. So this is why I always tell people with meme coins, you're gambling. Hey, I'm not saying you can't gamble, but hey, Pepe, Whiff and all those are better memes than somebody going on Twitter and saying, "Hey, I told you don't send me 1 Solana," and then put don't and the sort of address. And then they get like $500,000 or $2 million with like 10,000 subscribers or followers, right? I think it's absolutely terrible, and I hate that people do this. But here's the thing. As this price was going up, I was taking profits. I obviously waited, around this period. It was so easy to hold when it was down, like when it was down to 17 cents, very easy. But once the price got up around like 23, 25 cents, well, now I'm making, good enough profit that it becomes real. So my lesson and what I'll be doing in the future and what I'm going to implement with the group is I'm creating an exclusive multi-sig wallet for future launch projects. Once again, looking at adoptability, kind of thematics on what the protocol is. So what parallels we have, what the market cap looks like, the team, the documents, all that, the token structure. And what I will be doing is basically making it so that, 10 people per wallet, up to $500 each of launch tokens, because I don't want to have a wallet having more than 5,000 each, because if I'm managing along with somebody else, well, that's a lot of risk to hold on to. I'm not going to lose someone's money and not reimburse them, right? So that's the goal here. And then obviously based on how much money you have for total, we would have votes every so often on when to sell the token. So it's not just controlled by one person. And because of this, the cap is 5K, right? And the idea here is, instead of cashing out everything, we would keep a moon bag. The problem is with moon bags is at a certain point, you're like, oh, this is so good, I don't want to give it up, right? So this is exactly why this is coming into play. Now, for those of you who don't know what a multisig is, it's basically like a sort of safe, and it requires 2 or more private keys to perform certain tasks. So this is basically like arbitration or account extraction, and basically making it so that one person can't make the decision. It's got to be multiple signatures, and I'd want the other person who I'd give it to also be somebody who's always going to be online and also part of the process. Remember, guys, we are in a perfect time, not perfect time, but perfect storm. Crypto is really doing well. Yes, there's been some small pullbacks, and it's nice to see the fear and greed index coming down as Bitcoin and sort of Solana and stuff are retracing. Solana's retracing, I call it. It's at 186. Okay, it was 140 like a week and a half ago, and it was 190 yesterday. So we see some massive moves on these tokens. It's hard to lose in this space, so you've always got to think about your W's, right? So yes, I didn't capitalize on this. I'll make sure that changes in the future, but we still win. And I think that's the most important thing. Don't gamble. Find projects that can provide this kind of value, this kind of safety. And just remember, you won't find these if you are literally looking for pennies on the ground. You've got to be open to it. You've got to have the time. You've got to have a group that can support you do that. The Web3 Secret Society is one such group, but you can also form a group with your friends and everything else. Make sure you have a group of people you're talking to. You can't keep on top of everything on your own. And that's really what I want you to take away from this video. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like and share the video, because this video won't do well with the YouTube algorithm. I did this to sort of highlight exactly how you can duplicate this kind of result, not my result, which is okay, but the result of actually getting massive returns at very low risk. One thing I do want to mention before I forget, because I almost did, the airdrop will be going live very soon. So this is a screenshot from the Discord this morning. This is another reason why I got rid of my yield token is, well, I'm going to get a bunch of yield token. At current prices, I'm going to be up another like, what, 3,000 or 4,000? Yeah, which is amazing if the yield price holds like this. But it's coming, and that's going to also come with it some sell pressure. Also, there's going to be locked yield token. So the locked yield token that people can pay to sort of unlock very fast, that's also going to keep bringing the sell pressure. So at a certain point, this is going to collapse. It's hard to tell when that is. So I just tell people, be careful. I have been warning people about that since like 50 to 70 cents. And, it's up, went to $3. So like, what do I know, right? So that's why I'm saying don't sort of just listen to, what I'm saying, and, don't make that stop you, but just keep that at the back of your mind that these are the things that can go wrong, right? It's not just, hey, this is so obvious and it's clear sailing. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching the video. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.